بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, we're continuing our Riyad us-Saliheen, a hadith which we of course took a break with for the month of Ramadan. So inshallah every night after Maghrib we will do 5-6 minutes of a small discussion on one hadith per night or parts of hadith and so forth inshallah. We've reached chapter number 4, which is Bab al-Sidq. Bab al-Sidq, the chapter of truthfulness. The chapter of truthfulness. And Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah, he begins the chapter just like with the previous chapters by mentioning a few verses of the Quran before he gets to a hadith. So before we discuss the hadith on truthfulness, which we will do tomorrow bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, he mentions a few ayat of the Quran wherein Allah Azza wa Jal encourages us to be of the people of truthfulness. Before we discuss those ayat, Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions that truthfulness is when some information, when the khabar, it matches the reality. This is when something is true. When somebody speaks something, he says that which is in accordance with the reality. Then we would say that this is truthfulness in speech. طيب, يعني he doesn't lie, he speaks the truth. However, more importantly, the Shaykh says that just like we have truthfulness in speech, we also have truthfulness in our actions, in action. So he says, for example, what is truthfulness in action? It's when a person's internal deeds are in alignment with his external deeds. That which is within is in accordance with that which he shows on the apparent, that which he shows on the outside. This is truthfulness in action. And this is the way the believer, he has iman inside and he shows it in his deeds. He shows it in his speech. That his actions dictates that which comes from within. This is a true believer. This is a person of truthfulness. But the opposite of this, for example, the mura'i is the person who shows off. He shows off in his worship. So he shows you apparently, he shows you good deeds. But where does it come from? It comes from something that's not truthful. It comes from something that's not sincere. So this type of deeds, this is not from truthfulness. He speaks about the mushrik. This one is not truthful with Allah Azza wa Jal. Why? On the apparent he may show that he's a believer. On the outside he may show that he's a muwahid. But within he's a disbeliever in Allah. Likewise the munafiq. Someone who shows you deeds on the outside, but on the inside it's the exact opposite. This is the opposite of what? Of truthfulness. And he says the mubtadi'. The person who innovates into Allah's deen, he is not truthful. Why? Because on the outside he shows you certain deeds which are according to the sunnah, which are as if he's a follower of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But in reality he does many deeds that are in opposition to the sunnah. So this is not true sidq. It's not true a true level of truthfulness. So truthfulness, the Shaykh says, is what? Is when the truth, it is in alignment with what happens, whether it's something internal or external. This is the way of the believer. And the opposite is that of lies, of being untruthful. And this is the attributes of the munafiqeen. Wa na'udhu billah. As the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, that from the way of the munafiqeen is when he speaks, he lies. And we will get through these type of ahadith inshaAllah ta'ala. So just to end off, the Shaykh then mentions 3 ayat of the Quran. The first is in Surah At-Tawbah, verse 119, where Allah Azza wa Jal said, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu attaqullah wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen. O you who believe, fear Allah. Have taqwa of Allah and be with the people of truthfulness. Wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen. Be your company, your friends, your associates should be people who are sadiqeen, who are people who are known for truthfulness. And you should not be amongst people who are not known for truthfulness, or people who are known to be liars. The second verse is in Surah Al-Ahzab, verse 35, where Allah said, وَالصَّادِقِينَ وَالصَّادِقَاتِ. And this is a lengthy verse. Allah speaks about إِنَّ الْمُسْلِمِينَ وَالْمُسْلِمَاتِ وَالْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ, and He speaks about different categories of people. From amongst them is, He says, and the truthful men and women, صَادِقِينَ وَصَادِقَاتِ. At the end of the verse, Allah mentions that they will have a great reward that is promised for them. A great reward that is promised for them. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is praising the people of truthfulness. And in the last verse in Surah Muhammad, verse 21, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said, فَلَوْ صَدَقُوا اللَّهَ لَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُمْ. Had they been truthful with Allah, had they been true believers in Allah in terms of their iman and their obedience, then this would have been something good for them. Then this would have been something that would have benefited them. So, again, these are just the 3 verses that Imam Nawawi rahimahullah mentions as his introduction to the chapter of as-Sidq, of truthfulness. And the 3 ayat basically is to encourage us to be with the people of truthfulness and proving to us that being truthful is going to bring about a lot of goodness for us. Fi dunya wal akhirah, in this world and in the year after. So we'll stop there tonight. Inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow we will start with the first hadith in the chapter of truthfulness. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Barakallahu feekum wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.